When True Speech is Truly Free by Sundar Sarukkai. Sarukkai begins the essay by giving the theme of freedom. He says that he is sure that the theme of freedom will be constantly raised throughout Lok Sabha elections. Freedom and truth have become an important issue all over the world nowadays. Both freedom and truth are abstract ideas, concepts, and difficult to interpret perfectly. That too in a public political discourse or debate. Firstly, there are different kinds of freedom, such as freedom to speak, to write, to think, to imagine, to live our life, to eat what we want, etc. We are prone to appeal the term freedom with great ease. Even little children say that they have the freedom to have an ice cream. Hence, it is of great importance to interpret, analyze, and understand the various meanings of the term freedom. The author wants us to understand that the most important expressions of freedom are free speech. He goes on to analyze the meaning of free speech. Freedom to hold forth means freedom to talk elaborately about a subject. Here, the author makes an interrogative statement. The question mark is sure to raise curiosity among the people. The author may be implying that do we have the liberty to talk elaborately about a subject? Hence, the author tries to lead us to an understanding that we in general think that the main elements of democracy are the holding of elections and a free media. In general, we believe elections and free media are important means of free speech and free expression. Hence, a secret ballot, casting a vote anonymously with one's own free will, is a free expression and can be broadly understood as a free speech. The media, which is free to express its view truly and fairly, can be deemed as a free speech. The author now poses more questions for us. But is free speech really the essence of democracy? Is it really so important for an effective democracy? On the contrary, and controversially, there is an ingrown tension between free speech and democracy. If we think free speech gives us right to say whatever we want, then it will certainly not contribute to help to bring about meaningful social behavior. Free speech does not give us the right to spread falsehood about another person. Rumor, gossip, fake news, and deliberate lying cannot be considered as a free speech. Writer thinks that if we understand the meaning of the word free in the term free speech, we will be able to overcome the problem of defining what the constituents of free speech are. Again, he poses a few rhetoric questions to the reader. What is really free in free speech? The freedom to say what one wants? The author explains that one cannot say what one wants all the time because all speech is constrained, artificial, or forced. Speech is again subject to the limitations of biological and cognitive knowledge gained through experiences and senses and its expression through language. In human society, an individual does not have the freedom to say what one wants because it may offend somebody else. The author cites an example of a cricket commentator. He or she has to stick to commenting on the game of cricket. He or she cannot suddenly give a lecture on philosophy in the name of free speech. It would appear absurd in the situation. Speech isn't free, it comes with a cost. One is not free to say what we want, even in personal relationships. If we are honest and outspoken, we have a price to pay, and that is breaking of the relationship. Or it may also lead to wars between people or nations. Hence, the author thinks that the essence of free speech is not really what the freedom to say what we want, but it is more about speech which is free. Thus, the free speech is the one which comes with a cost or price. But the duty of paying the price of free speech is not in the hand of speaker but with the listener. The listener may take offense at what the speaker has said. Hence, it can be said that free speech can be described as one in which the listener is not allowed to take offense and intimidate, threaten the speaker. Hence, the author ironically says that the real freedom in free speech is not the freedom of the speaker to say what he or she wants, but is limited by what the listener allows the speaker to say. Thus, the demand of right to speak comes along with the listener to demand the right to stop us from speaking what we want. Consequently, the notion of free speech shifts the responsibility of free speech from speaker to the listener. Hence, the author implies that free speech does not give us the right to say what we want. We cannot damage a person's reputation through falsehood claiming our right to free speech. The writer again asks us if slandering a person is the same as criticizing the government or the nation. He implies that one cannot exercise their right to free speech to slander a person because the person may take offense of it and take us to court for defaming his reputation. Similarly, isn't it ironical that we cannot exercise our right to free speech bestowed upon us by democracy to criticize our governments because, irrespective of which party is in power, they arrest the criticizer under the law of sedition and imprison him? Slandering a person is not an expression of free speech, but criticizing our government is not only our right but also our duty because it is our democratic right. Democracy is about governance for others and on behalf of others. It is a social and public system of responsibility of governance. The very foundation of democracy is collective action, and the real freedom in democracy is the freedom of choosing who will govern on our behalf. The ideal of democracy is that we are all potential rulers. Any one of us can be the prime minister of our country. When we elect somebody, we are only putting a group of people to govern on behalf of us. Free speech is the mechanism to make sure that they govern correctly and on our behalf. It is only free speech defined in this manner that makes democracy workable. The true power of free speech lies in its capacity to make those in power accountable to those who do not have power. It is a means to control those in power and is not really about freedom of individuals. The price we demand for making somebody govern our behalf is to allow us to say what we want about them, not an individuals but as political leaders. The author states that true speech, true free speech covers those acts of speech which speak against power to keep them accountable to the people of a nation. So it protects the most cherished democratic principle. Democracy thrives on free speech. Anybody who opposes criticizing of the government or its representative can be said to be undemocratic. The author warns us that we will dilute the importance of free speech when we use it for our personal benefit. He concludes the essay hoping that people in power will subsidize free speech so that every citizen will be able to use it without fear of retaliation for the betterment of the country and its people.